Jim Richardson is a well-known American photojournalist, a freelance photographer who travels the world with the purpose of capturing its rarely seen beauty. He began taking photos in order to illustrate the grace and importance of the commonplace that he first noticed as a young man in Kansas. Though his career has propelled him into the realm of exploration in nature, his roots in small-town Kansas has remained an important subject throughout its entirety. His first book, High School USA, was published in 1979 and serves as a good example of his black and white documentary work. It focused on a small-town high school in Kansas, illustrating the changes these teens went through over a period of 3 years. In 1984, Richardson made his first contribution to the National Geographic Society. Since then, as a freelancer on contract, he has been taking photographs for the National Geographic magazine for over 20 years. He is also a contributing editor for their sister publication, the Traveller magazine. He is well known for his work in Celtic culture in the British Isles, especially Scotland, as well as in subjects of the environment, science, and conservation. His work has taken him around the world, from the tops of active volcanoes to below the surface of swamps and wetlands. His image is never disappointing. This photo, titled Nixon the Dog, provides the viewer a small window into what life is like in the small town of Cuba, Kansas. The town's population numbers less than 300 people, and Richardson spent around 30 years documenting and collecting images to portray this world to others. The image focuses on 4 old men playing cards in a small gas station or workshop, with Nixon the dog staring off into the distance. The dog does not seem to mind that he is not involved with the game, but rather content that he is in the men's company. The image evokes feelings of nostalgia and allows the viewer to see and imagine what it must be like to live in such a slow-paced, small town. This is in huge contrast to the hustle and bustle of urban society, which is growing at an extremely fast rate. The natural lighting coming in from outside works well with the black and white composition to really make the darks and lights stand out against one another. The dog's spots contrast well with his lightness, as do the men's shirts against the wall. Richardson's black and white works stand out against his later compositions, such as those for National Geographic, and they really illustrate his versatility as a photographer. This image, titled In the Storm, reflects a stormy day on the Flint Hills of Kansas. As the last great stand of the tall-grass prairie, the Flint Hills were featured by National Geographic magazine's April 2007 issue. Though the photo brings up feelings of despair, it is also very beautiful, as the dark greens and grays stand out well against the light sky in the distance. The one-point perspective depicts a path that vanishes on the horizon. The composition of this photo might be attempting to depict hope, because though the foreground is gray and stormy, the path is heading off toward the light. Richardson used a slow shutter speed in order to capture the movement of the rain, casting a mist-like appearance over the hills. He really makes them seem like a never-ending expanse because the vanishing horizon never allows the viewer to see them to the end. This photo captures the essence and beauty of the prairie, and it is meant to, because it is intended to show people what we could be losing with the continued growth of urbanization. This image is simply titled Central Park, New York. Richardson took this photo for National Geographic in order to depict the detrimental effects of light pollution on our society. Since the advent of electric lighting just 1 century ago, man has destroyed much of the dark nights that we have known for ages. It is estimated that 80% of the people alive today will never again see the Milky Way. This can have a severe impact on many plants and animals, and even human psychology and health. The image is meant to show how little we now see of the night sky, and how in many places we can no longer even see the stars. Simple means of changing our night lighting can restore our skies and save energy as well. Richardson's photo of New York is a beautiful one, showing how the amount of light in this urban setting lights up the mist, steam, and smoke coming up from the city. The monochromatic colors really add to this image's beauty. His vantage point captures the essence of light pollution, as you can see over the city, the light and fog clouding the trees of Central Park and obliterating the night sky. Not one star can be seen. This image shows viewers how Richardson can take an ugly concept and still compose an image that depicts it in a beautiful way. This last photo was taken in Scotland and is one of my favorite compositions in his body of work. It is titled Rusty and Tufty Get Treats. The image has huge depth of field and has much to show from the foreground into the back. The colors in this image really work well with one another, as the oranges from the Scottish Highland cows fade into the yellowy grasses, which then fade into the greens of the hills, continuing into the indigos and blues of the mountains and sky. The subjects of the photo interest me because the punk appearance of the man contrasts with the rural scenery and animals. It reflects the separation between modern urbanization and nature. However, the man is feeding the animals, possibly showing that man and nature can work together. This photo evokes a feeling of peace and is a beautiful depiction of two things most commonly found on opposite sides coming together. The focus on the subjects in the foreground is perfect and makes them appear crisp and clear, contrasting them against the background. This is a coupling of man and nature that Richardson executes perfectly, which is why I enjoy this image so much. Through his coverage, Richardson's main goal is to combine together the art of photography and journalism's attempt to convey information. He enjoys focusing much of his work on the lives of people who form the culture of or are affected by a particular place. His work is acclaimed by many noteworthy organizations, and he currently has around 7 book titles to his credit. An influential photographer, he also speaks both nationally and around the world on subjects of travel and the environment. To sum up Jim Richardson's goals for his work, he has been quoted as saying this: "People and the ebb and flow of their daily activities say a lot about a place. I try to speak a common visual language about cultures, natural resources, and landscapes."